Today's episode is brought to you by ShopNackiaSalmon.com is our new online store. Our community started our brave journey of living intentionally in 2018. Together, we are owning our stories and sharing our powerful words through our products that connect, educate, inspire, and empower us. Check out our t-shirts, hats, face masks, hoodies, and much more at shopnackiasalmon.com. We ship globally. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Catchup. I'm Nackia Salmon, and Catchup is a project where we co-create a safe space to share our powerful stories. And the hope is that by sharing our stories, we reminisce about fantastic memories, and we learn from each other through our shared experiences, and that we inspire, motivate, and empower each other to live our very best lives. That is the purpose of Catch Up. Now, this week, I am super excited because I have not seen this lady since I left Manny, in years. So I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to interview Miss Marjorie Leyden. Welcome.
Thank you, Nackia. Thank you so much. It's my delight to be here with you.
Fantastic. So now, where are you located now, Miss Leyden?
All right, so having been born in St. James, having started my first job in Sav-la-Mar, Westmoreland, and probably living there for nearly, 20 odd years, I am now in Kingston, Jamaica.
You sure you weren't born in Westmoreland?
I know. A lot of people, this is going to be like news for some people.
Because we
originally,
thought,
originally in St. James.
Which high school did you attend?
I attended the Herbert Morrison, at that time comprehensive, now technical high school.
Okay.
I was among the first set of students to enter that school in 1976, and I spent 3 years, and I graduated as the deputy head girl at that time. And even at that time, I was very involved in culture and performances and so on. So the mighty Herbert Morrison Technical High.
So how did you end up being a teacher in education? So from high school, where did you go?
All right, so, when I finished high school, originally, and this again is going to be news for a lot of people, maybe in a way.
Yeah.
Originally, I wanted to be a pharmacist. And when I finished high school, I continued at the Montego Bay Community College at that time to try and get my math subject. Now, that subject gave me trouble from day one. And as a result, I spent another year at the community college trying to make sure I could get it. And then one of my uncles, who is a teacher and had gone to the Monique Teachers College, said to me, all right, don't waste too much time now. Go on to do your teacher education, and you can specialize in the sciences, not necessarily with math, but you can go ahead and still specialize in the sciences. At that time, I had like biology and chemistry and physics and my English language and my literature, because we had really loved the performances at Herbert Morrison. So we were heavy into the English literature because we did a lot of plays. And I took up that opportunity and applied for the Monique Teachers College, and I got through and headed off to Monique and and I again ended up being a first timer. I ended up among the first set of teachers that they call the diploma education teacher, because at the beginning at teachers colleges, they had a certificate program. And so when I got there in, I think, 1982, no, that's gonna date me. I was among the first set of young teachers who did the diploma in education and graduated in 1985 in the secondary education program, specializing in general science and library science. Now, because I didn't want to do the math, I went to library.
And that's how you got to teach me. You taught me.
And
I think it's
right.
a second stint. So I didn't even realize that you were at Manning's and then you left and then you came back. But from Teachers College, was Manning's the first place that you taught?
Manning's was my first job. My first job. And that is interesting, Nackia, because while I was at the Teachers College, I had one of my lecturers was a past teacher and student of Manning's School. His name, Mr. Shippey. So a lot of people from Westmoreland should remember him and those associated with Manning's School. So he was my lecturer for physics. And so when we were finishing up and getting ready for graduation and, everybody doing up their application, he said to me, you know what? I believe you would do very well at Manning's School. And since I was from St. James, I was already in the West.
Yeah.
And so he said, I'm going to send over a recommendation for you. So make your application and get to Manning's School. I followed up with him and I did my application and I got my call from Mr. Nita. Mr. Nita himself, headmaster extraordinaire. Yes.
How many principals did you experience at Manning's in all your stints?
Okay.
The first and the second one.
So I started out with Mr. Nita. Fabulous, visionary, everything. He embraced us as young people when we came in 1985. And I remember just after about 2 years, I was able to apply for study leave. And because of his vision, and what he wanted to do to help us as young teachers so we could go on to do well for the school, I got through with my application for study leave, and that would have taken me to 1988. I went off to university and I came back 1991.
Yes.
And I then met Mr. Jackson. So when I came back for that September, I met Mr. Jackson. So he would have been my second principal. Unfortunately, I only had him for about 3 months or a year, I think, a year and some months, because he passed, I believe, in 1992.
And it was,
so
it was over Christmas, I think, too.
Yes. So I had him for a year and some months, before. And that was interesting. I think when he passed, I believe it might have been Mr. Dusai or Mrs. Wagstaff. Yeah. But for sure, Mrs. Wagstaff.
Because I interviewed her, it's Mrs. Wagstaff.
Yes, she became my principal. And up to the time of my leaving in 1995, January 1995, it was Mrs. Wagstaff. So I would have worked with her for about 5 to 6 years, because as I said, I came back to Manning's in 1991.
So if you could find words, you're going to just use random words to describe the three principles. You're going to say, Nita, what comes to your mind? What words you use? Then Mr. Jackson, what comes to mind? What words would you use? And then Mrs. Wagstaff, what words would you use? So let's start with Mr. Nita. What words? You had visionary already.
Giant and visionary. Yeah. He was a giant of a man. I mean, discipline. He was a disciplinarian and visionary.
All right.
That really got me at the very beginning. So it's more than one words right there.
Yes, that is fine.
Got me at the beginning because he believed in the young teachers, and he was willing to invest in us so that we could come back and change with the generation, the generation of young people. Mr. Jackson, I was very impressed with his leadership. I remember when I came in and got back into the library, he said to me, having coming back from university, what difference can you make in that library? And I said, sir, if you give me the leverage to do some extraordinary things, you will see what I'm able to do. And he said, okay, what are you talking about? I said, looking at the library, I need to have books in there and to have books that relate to the subjects, that the young people were doing, especially the sixth formers. And then I created 3 different programs, a program for first to third formers for the library, and I prepared a program for 4th to 5th, and then the sixth formers. Because up to that point, sixth formers weren't doing anything about library. I mean, we are sixth formers, but I created this program that would show them how to transition from a high school to a university and to get the benefit, of the library, how you really use the library to get the information from it. And I'll never forget Mr. Jackson, when I described all that I wanted to do, and I said, then I need resources. He gave me an open check. And I don't know if anybody at that school knew. He gave me an open check for me to go to the University of the West Indies bookstore and to get books that related to the programs that we were doing with the sixth formers. I'll never forget that. The trust, that he had put in
He
me.
challenged you and you stepped up to the challenge.
I stepped up and I thanked him. He too, I would say, was a visionary.
Yeah.
And the fact that, as you said, he gave me that platform and the trust to go. And I remember when I came back and I handed him that book list, and he said, thank God you never broke the school. I was like, okay, sir, I kind of know what I was doing,
What words? Tell me.
A quiet but strong leader. That's what I would say.
Right?
Quiet, charming. She knew how to get the best out of you without being arrogant. And I really admire that about her. And, you find yourself wanting to support her, to support whatever programs she put in place, because she just gave you that very quiet but and dignified way of doing things. And you wanted to please and to make sure, her tenure was a successful one. So we supported her.
Fantastic descriptions. I never met Mr. Nita, but Mr. Jackson,
yes,
and Mrs. Wagstaff, I have more experience with. Yes. And I said to her when I interviewed her, I don't understand. I said, you were warm and open, so we know you, and you're approachable, so we know we could come. But we also know that when we come, we better come correct.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like this balance, like she does it so well.
Yes.
That I can't explain.
And dignified, as you said. And then you come to expect to operate a certain way to reach out.
Yeah, you want to. Does that make sense? You just feel weird if you don't. You like stand up a little bit straighter. You just have to come correct. Yeah.
Excellent. Yes. So that's how I would describe her. And all 3 are unforgettable. All 3 of them. Unforgettable people. Yes.
Your immediate family. Tell us about your immediate family.
Well, anybody who knows me know that I love to talk about my family, my children, my granddaughter. Oh my God. And then it's a multi-tier of families. My immediate would be myself, my two children. For the first time, probably letting everybody know I'm a divorcee. Didn't want to go that way, but we never know. Every day we wake up, we face new challenges, and the important thing is to deal with the challenges.
Amen.
But I have two lovely, wonderful children out of that marriage, Travis Vernon and Krista Vernon. They're also past students of Manning's, and both have done well. My daughter graduated from UTech. She's a dietetics and nutrition. So I think in the end, she will be known as a nutritionist or a dietitian. Mm-hmm. And my son, Travis, I think everybody says he really follows after me when it comes to the creative side. Because he loves his music. He loves it to the end, but not the singing, as most people know me for the singing. But he's into when you have your parties and you get your music going, what they call those, a disc jockey that gets everything going. And I'm very, very proud of them. I have my lovely granddaughter,
what's her name?
Paris. And most times everybody see when I'm on the social media, I'm posting and boasting about them. But I must also share that out of my marriage, I also inherited a son. And he's older than my kids, almost 20 years older than the children. And what that has done is to create a very interesting life for me, because I ended up now having like 6 grandchildren and seven grandchildren, including my Paris, right? So 6 from that, my big son, Rowan Vernon, and I became a great grandmother. So a lot of people don't know about that, because his lovely daughter got married and now has 2 children. So I'm a great grandmother also. So I'm living like almost the perfect life. I've been able to do just about everything. You know, when you're growing up, you say, let me get married and have children. Then you say, dear God, let my children grow big. And then, dear God, let me get grandchildren. And I've been lucky enough to get even great grands. Wow. So I think I'm doing pretty good.
That is absolutely amazing. Yeah. Tell us about your current job.
Wow. So I currently work with the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission. I am one of the directors. Actually, I pride myself in saying I'm probably one of the best known directors, because my portfolio is one that covers the entire island of Jamaica. So I have overall responsibility for the work that goes on across Jamaica. So we have 13 parish locations, because Kingston and St. Andrew operates as one office.
Right.
And I take responsibility for that portfolio at the Jamaica Cultural Development Commission. I don't think anybody is surprised by that, because I've been on a journey that has actually ended with me being at the JCDC. Because back in the days, I don't know if I'm to start sharing that, but when I came to Manning's, there was a lady there. As a matter of fact, she was the secretary. I call her the executive secretary to the principal, Miss Anita. Her name, Mrs. Meggie. And Mrs. Meggie introduced me to a program called Festival Queen. And that is why most persons believe I'm originally from Westmoreland, because I became Miss Westmoreland Festival Queen in 86 or something like that. And from that introduction to the program, and then ultimately getting onto the parish cultural development committee, I never looked back in terms of contributing to cultural development and preservation. So ultimately it led me to becoming the parish manager at the JCDC in 1996. And I've been with the commission since then, and I've been able to move up the ranks until I've ended up now in Kingston for 10 years. I've been in Kingston now since 2010. And this year I've celebrated 10 years as a director, now that I'm looking at it at the JCDC. So a span maybe of over 30 years. Wow. You know, being with if you do the math, and remember now, you have to help me, from 1996 to 2020.
I'm trying not to make people add. People have to work hard.
Let them work that out. And then you add almost 10 years before that at Manning's, 1985, September 1985. To January 1995. So you just think about it. Oh, wow.
Tell me, what is your favorite part of the job?
Oh, wow. My favorite part, you know.
Notice I'm giving you so many questions that are not a part of the catch-up questions. But while I have you, man, I am going to enjoy this interview.
Oh, my favorite. Listen, being able to travel and to get to know all of Jamaica, that has been my biggest reward. I know every parish in this country, and I've been to, remember now, it's not just the intangible where we do the performing arts and all the other arts, but we also deal with the tangible part. So I know a lot of our historical sites or rivers or falls or great houses we've been, because we have a program called the Culture Clubs where we encourage, you know, members to travel across Jamaica and to get to know Jamaica, not just the arts, because a lot of people know that the JCDC is busy with the performing arts, right, the culinary arts, all the art forms, the visual and so on.
Yes, that's the part I know.
Right. But we also have been encouraging everyone. And the programs themselves also allow the young people to be able to travel to different parts to participate, because you first participate at your parish level,
right,
where you earn your parish awards,
right,
and those who have done exceptionally well with their gold medals, they're usually promoted to regional activities, also competitions, and then they end up at the national. So they get a chance. Let's say you're from the West and you're in Westmoreland. If you travel to the Western region competition, you may end up in St. James, or you may end up in Trelawney or Hanover, because those are the 4 parishes that make up the Western. Right. Then when you earn that gold medal and the best in your class and category and things like that, you end up in Kingston at the national finals. At the national finals, you then get to meet other competitors who are coming from other parts of Jamaica. So you will see somebody from central Jamaica like Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, or you may just buck up on somebody from Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, and that's the northern. And of course, you're in Kingston, so you are definitely going to meet some people from Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, and the St. Thomas. So it really, that's an awesome part of my job. I enjoy that. It has allowed me to be able to travel across Jamaica and get to know, oh Lord, the people who have gotten to know me, you know, and the multitude of talents. And also, I really, really enjoy the fact that my job helps to preserve our culture and heritage. I really feel blessed that I've been able to do something that I enjoy doing and that it contributes in such a significant way, to the development and preservation of the country. We've impacted the lives of millions,
including
not
mine.
just thousands, right? You included, And Mannings especially has done very well over the years. They stand up to any of the other schools and so across Jamaica.
So my interaction with the commission, I was from when I was going to Sav-la-Mar Primary School with Mrs. Jones. So
Yes, music.
Believe me, we did dance too.
And dance, yes.
So every lunchtime I had to repeat Louise Bennett poems in her office to memorize.
Yes, poetry.
Yes, so I entered dance, speech, and music on a regular basis, and we went straight to Kingston at times. So we did all the different levels, and I also entered the Festival Queen.
Wow!
Well, so JCDC has been a huge part of my childhood, and it's a place that I realized that I have talent.
Yes.
And I've learned to cope under nerves and fears by just doing it.
Yes.
By just doing it and by doing it over and over again. So now I pull back on those moments as a little child when I have to do public speaking. I said, if I did it then, I can do it now.
Yes. So that's a part of helping to make you the rounded person.
Yes.
Very powerful.
Very powerful. Tell us your hobbies. What do you do to relax?
Oh Lord, no. Okay.
Do you relax?
Before being at this point in my life, singing was my hobby. I love my singing. From my high school days, my days at church, church really set the foundation. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, they said, we are the best singers in the world. Take my hat off for that.
Do you know the Seventh-day Adventist guy called Phil Whit? No, you have to make me look at my phone.
Yes, man. Yes. This international singer?
Yes.
Of course.
I was listening to him so long before I even know he was Seventh-day Adventist. Because his denomination, it wasn't about his denomination.
It's not right.
It's not about that.
We love to tout it, we love to tout that a little and get it in. But singing was my talent from church, from as small as I can remember. But I believe when I entered the Festival Queen competition, that is when I realized that the talent was so good, because I ended up actually getting singing jobs because of that competition. And I remember right after doing the competition at the national finals, I was second. At the national finals. And at that time, I guess they would have called them producers, or the kind of people who sought, seek people when they see talent.
Yes.
And I got involved, and I actually became what they call a cabaret singer. Came back to Westmoreland, and while I was teaching, I was also doing cabaret shows in some of the hotels. Everybody in Westmoreland, any function they were having, I would be guest singer. So that was my talent. I really enjoyed it.
I never knew. You see, this is what Catchup is for.
I
never knew that.
How come?
I never knew that. I only saw you in class. My memories of libraries, you and my schoolmate, I'm not at work, is Kina Beck.
Okay.
Beck is one schoolmate that loved the library.
Yes, ma'am.
Why Kina always in the library?
And she helped to make you who you are today. Trust me with that. But the library was my domain. Miss Pringle, when I came, Miss Pringle, the other librarian, was already there. And I learned, she gave me room too to explore and do a lot of things, so I have to say a big thank you to Daphne Pringle, Miss Pringle, whom I came and saw at the library. And I remember when I got to the library, I think it was about 1987, I organized this library week. You would not have been there as yet, early. But I organized this library week and nobody could understand. I said, what can you get in a whole week in the library? What can you do? But I organized the entire week. I invited other schools to come and view. I got the different subject areas to put up exhibitions and all of that in the library. I remember out on the veranda, you know how the library is structured. We have the two wings and those two big veranda. We set up things on that. We had the entrance inside. And then I had discussion where we invited parents to come in, and I brought in special guest speakers. But guess what really got me was when we organized a performance day and brought in Muta Baruka and Lorna Goodison. Let me tell, and I should have called her name in terms of her work, because I continue to enjoy Lorna Goodison's books even up to now. When Muta Baruka came, it rained that day, and everybody knows that he does not wear shoes. And so everybody was excited to see what he was going to do
in the water
out of the car. And trust me, he came out barefooted. But that was a really I don't know how to describe that.
Do you know why?
It was an awesome thing. And that is to show you the extent of how I took the importance of the library and the value of what the library can offer to you. So it's like I was saying, I'm bringing the books alive by bringing these living authors for you to see. And it went over very well.
Do you know why he's barefoot? Is it
think
to be on the earth and the energy from the earth?
It's just his signature thing.
That's his signature.
Everybody has something that they use to make them remarkable.
Yes.
And that's Muta. He believes in his the Rastafarian and whatever else that he does. And that's just his thing. To be with nature, to be in one, with nature.
What are your favorite memories, if you haven't already shared, of Manning School?
Oh my. There's so many. You have enough time?
Ones that make you laugh.
All right,
that you never experienced anywhere else after you left.
And never will I think. One of the most, outstanding. When I went to Manning's 1985, I came on with some interesting young teachers too. There was a teacher, Maxine Rodney. She was actually a drama teacher. Believe it, back in those days, we had a music teacher, a drama teacher, so they took those things serious. So it wasn't just the academics. You also had to have your culture and your arts development, and of course we had art itself, the visual arts, Cedric Allen, Mr. Allen, and all those people.
I'm trying to get him on Catchup. I can't contact him. Back to you.
No, he's right there in Sav-la-Mar. I believe if you can get back to Mrs. Wagstaff, you should be able to get a contact for Cedric Allen. All right. And I can also touch base with Mrs. Wagstaff, and we can keep that going. But so when we got there, we started a program where they would do fundraising, and we came up with this fabulous idea of having the teachers. I don't know if they do that anymore. A teachers concert where it was the teachers who performed. and the kids pay their money to come in.
Aw.
Let me tell you, Nackia, that was fabulous. And so my singing, and we did drama and we did modeling, we did everything. And I never forget this student, Dean Stevens. He's cousin to, what's his name? Richie Stephen. He's cousin to the singer Richie Stephen. That young man, Dean, could sing just like Richie and probably even better.
Wow.
And he and I used to do some duets. And let me tell you, people used to pay double just to hear us. So that was
Wow.
really something. Teachers' concert at Manning School when the students would pay to come in and enjoy the concert. I'll never
Great
forget.
fundraising idea.
Yes, fundraising platform that we had at the school. Another memory, this one, you're gonna find this one excellent. So here I am, a young teacher, applied for my applied to go study at the university. Now, as the teacher librarian, the sixth formers would come to the library a lot because, once they have a free session, they were not encouraged to stay outside. So everybody would come to the library. And of course, Miss Pringle and myself would put them to work. You can't just come and sit in there. You got to be doing this. You got to be reading that. You got to be. Would you believe when I left in 1988 to go off to university, whom do you think when I walked in the library at the University of the West Indies? Almost all of my upper sixth form students. And trust me, the young men,
schoolmates.
listen, we were now schoolmates, and those young men, they had a ball. I remember one especially. He's well known now, big in the society, Mr. Carey Wallace, who is now an executive director at one of our big agencies. And I remember him coming up and say, "Yeah, man, Marjorie, how you doing?" Because here now, we're all adults.
We're all peers.
We're peers. And they had a ball with that. But interestingly, as we went along, they would come to me and they would say, "Miss, we appreciate the sessions you did with us because now we can manage and handle ourselves in the library and get the best, out of our studies." So really that for up to today. And when they see me anywhere, a lot of them still just say, "Miss Leyden, Miss Leyden," and that's my teacher.
Yeah.
That's my teacher. And I probably could share too that one of the things I've really enjoyed about teaching is the satisfaction that you really get from having students who go on to excel. And I must mention now that there are two past students, especially know that, when I hear them, when I see them, I'm like, oh my God, look at my students. And one, which I believe you know them yourselves, because it's when I came back in the 90s, I think, I had these students in the library mostly. And Emily Crooks Shields would be one of them, and Marlene Malahu Ford. Those were students in my, that we had in my time, and they were brilliant from that time. And what I really admire is that whenever I go anywhere and they happen to be there, the respect and the acknowledgement that they make, knowing that, you were a part of their educational background and contributed to where they were. Really love that. And memories like that, just knowing these great Jamaicans, and knowing that you are a part of their upbringing and the foundation. It's really great memories that way. Oh, and I cannot leave by saying, oh my, the teachers that I worked with at Manning's. Memories. Oh man, we used to have some, because we lived in the flats as young
I did
teachers.
too, by the way.
All right.
When I worked at Manning's. Back
We lived at the Manning's flats. And we used to have some lovely house parties. So I have to big that up. That's a memory, you know. And we had a very good relationship with the teachers at Manning's, very strong in that staff room. And we had different staff rooms, but that main staff room, really and truly great friendships that came out of it. And there will be teachers you'll never forget. And Mrs. Monroe is one of those that really helped us as young teachers. You know, we had to take that fashion serious, girl. And we had to dress the part like Mrs. Monroe. So I really have to give thanks for that, you know. Really had some great impressions with the teachers that I worked with.
So before we transition to the next type of questions, Mrs. Monroe, I would love to have you on Catchup. Please consider coming on.
All right. We'll get her numbers for you, man. Her contacts.
So we move into the area of your personal growth and development, and as your perspectives changed. So what words would you use to describe yourself as a young adult? We'll say before marriage. And then what words would you use to describe yourself today?
As a young woman, I believe I was a go-getter.
Okay.
Yes. I never hesitated in participating in activities that presented themselves to me.
So you weren't shy?
Definitely not. I thought I was, but once I got on a stage or anything like that, no. So I believe I was a go-getter. I was not afraid to take on different opportunities as they come my way. And I remember once, while at Manning's, another teacher said to me one day, because I'd done the Festival Queen and I was doing the cabaret singing, and I'd gone as far as Nassau to work with this big band. They did a lot of soca music, and I remember going with them to be guest speaker for a new guest singer, for a New Year's Eve ball. So it was like all over the place. In Kingston, they would call, I'm in the newspaper because they would advertise these shows, and I would be there as guest artist and things like that, you know. And I remember one of my co-workers said to me, "Oh, you're so lucky. Oh, you're so lucky." And I remember turning to her and saying, "You know, I don't consider it luck. I consider it preparation, always knowing who I am and putting myself, you know, in the right place, so that preparation, meeting opportunity, and being brave enough to take the opportunity. I call that success. I'm not calling it no luck."
Because people see opportunities knock and people don't even see when it knocks.
They don't.
Yeah.
And the preparation is important.
Preparation is important.
Right? So you have to always be looking to put yourself
out there
in a position so that when opportunities come, you can take it. And that's why too, even with my education, I chose education over a singing career. Because I'm telling you, where I was heading would have been like an international singing artist. Right. But I saw more for my life that I wanted to impact a little bit more. And so, you know, that step to go on to university and do that first degree, And I remember even when I came back and I was still doing my singing and so on, and got more seasoned into the teaching, I remember now getting to the JCDC, I said, no, this looks like I could take the path of management, you know? And I went on to do my master's in business administration because I had my eye on saying, if I'm in a parish and I can manage an entire parish, and there are opportunities for you to go on to a regional level and an opportunity to go to the top, you know, to work at the head of that corporation. I said, you know what? I am gonna do my studies so that I can align myself. So whenever opportunities come, I will be prepared. Because remember, that was always one of the things that I look at, how you can prepare yourself. But I'm still that kind of person. I believe a lot of people describe me as being very pleasant, very jovial. I like when you're around me, you're comfortable. You know, I try to create an atmosphere for people to feel comfortable, and I believe I can get the best out of you that way.
What advice would you give if you had an audience of fifth form students at Manning's? What advice would you give them before they go out there in the world?
Yes, the fifth formers. The first thing is you got to have a vision. You have to first make up, I don't know how to say, you got to make a decision as to who you believe you want to be in life and what. This is fifth form, I'm telling you, because it's going to determine what you do next. So it may sound simple, you know, because a lot of people say, yeah, man, what you want to be and so on. But you
No,
really,
I have a follow-up question just ready to ask you. So I'm like waiting for you to finish your sentence.
just begin to, you know, I know you've done your fourth and your fifth.
Yeah.
You've done all these subjects, maybe thinking, you know, what you want to become and so on. So you would have probably been in the sciences and so on. But you got to really sit and take that, look at yourself and visualize and say, what is it I really want to do or who I want to become in life? And that will determine whether you go on to sixth form, because if you want to become like a medical doctor or a lawyer or certain subject areas, you're going to need to go on to the sixth form, right? But if there are other career paths that can take you straight to either like a community college or a teacher's college or university. There are some, because I know for sure UTech, you can begin without having to do your right, depending on, as I said again, the career, the thought of what it is you want to become. But some people may not know right away, you know, may not be able to. So, all right, you pick something and you start. The important thing, though, is if you do not decide on something, you're going to be strained. You're going to be doing a lot of bibbing and bobbing. Yes, you can start in one thing, and as you're going on and getting to know yourself better, you can then continue to develop into the other, you know, other realm of where you want to go. Because you don't have to be one of anything.
It's just your next step. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, but it's important to really start. Do not let your circumstance determine your
potential, your capabilities.
Yes. Don't say because I'm poor or I don't have this or my parents are that or so on, that you don't think and say, this is what I want to do. Because that is going to really give you the drive and direction.
Are you ready for my follow-up questions to that?
Let me hear.
What if what you want is different from what your parent dictates? What advice would you have for those kids to have a discussion with? So I am doing Catchup now for 2 years, Miss Leyden.
Yes.
I can't tell you what percentage of us did something because of expectations of our parents.
Parents, yes.
And mandates. Sometimes it's not even an option, right? Until you get older, you realize I was really good at this. This is what I always wanted to do, and they lost time, right? So the question I have is, what advice do you give?
And that's what I'm saying. No, don't look at it that way. Okay.
Don't look at it as lost time.
Look at it now. It's called hindsight, right?
Hindsight.
I've been there. I'm a parent. Right? I'm a parent. So it is just, listen, your parent, a well-meaning parent,
yes,
is going to help to try to give you direction.
Yes.
Remember to
based on sometimes their dreams and the things that they couldn't do,
yes,
but nothing to do with you.
Fine. If you are able to manage what if it is something they are aspiring for you, and you're able, you can do it, because here's the beauty of life. You're never too old to change and to do what you love. Never. And what that will do is give you maybe a foundation on which you can spring off to do what you really love to do.
Hey, I'm going to
damage in it. I'm telling you.
Hey, I wanted to be a dancer. Miss Leyden, I can't go back right now. I'm just letting you know.
One thing I'm going to say. I don't, however, agree with parents wanting to push young people into areas that they have no genuine ability and capability. So that's what I'm saying. If, let's say, every parent probably want their child to be a doctor, a lawyer, those.
Yes, the traditional things that look good, yes.
But let me say to you, if you are able, you have the ability, capability, and you're getting the sponsorship and the everything, do it. You won't lose. You won't be the worse for it. Right. However, if you genuinely cannot and you do not, you have to continue. And sometimes the parents can see, this is why it is important for the parents to see the results of your, when you're doing your work, to see what you're doing well in, and to get the advice. So that part, I would say parents cannot be dogmatic. They really need to be there with the kids, seeing how they're doing, helping to discover what they really love too, right? And help to channel them. But it is, I'm not going to say it is a waste. It's not a waste, especially if you can do it and do it well. What it will do, and I have met a lot of people, especially in the arts, whose parents, because remember, in Jamaica, although we are known as the cultural mecca of the world, a lot of Jamaicans still don't see their children doing arts development as a viable thing, right? So they always encouraging the kids to do things that they believe they can get a job. But I have seen even doctors, medical doctors, leaving medicine to go on to do their music, to do their dance. But guess what? They have even more confidence in doing that because they have a strong foundation.
All right.
They do. So they do exceptionally well with those areas, because I'm not afraid. If I don't make it, I know I can go do this, So there is good in it, But I too would not say parents are to be, they have to really understand their children. They can't just push it down on them.
You hear that, parents? All
Yes,
right.
and I'm a parent.
So we want to learn from your life experiences. So think of a season in your life that you're comfortable in sharing that was very challenging, that pulled on you, and share it with us and let us what you know, what you learned about yourself by walking that experience.
Wow, wow, wow. You know, health, it's a health challenge that I face. And it came as a big surprise because growing up, being a young adult, getting married, having children, I thought I was perfectly healthy. I did everything so easily. I remember even when I was having my first child, Dr. Evan Nepal, my gynecologist, and I remember when he said, at your age, wow, good health, beautiful. And the pregnancy, the birth, everything went very well. Same thing with my second child. But when I started getting to age, I would say about age 40, 40, 41, 42, because it was back in 2010. I don't know where this came from. I had what they then went on to say was palpitation of the heart. It knocked me off my feet. I just got ill. I'd gone out with my colleagues on one of our sporting social activity at the Duns River Fall, and I remember swimming, and as I was swimming, I just felt like my heart jumped, and I stopped and I said, "Hey guys, I just felt something." And somebody was there, troubling me, said, "Go on, man, you're going like you're Usain Bolt in the sea, swimming and carrying on." And I laughed it off too, and I started swimming again. And because I'm a swimmer, from I'm a little girl, swam in Montego Bay, the beach, and then coming to Westmoreland, you have the beach right there. And when I swam off that second time, I felt the heart jumping, and it never went back down. It just kept jumping high and just started beating real fast, and ended up with them having to take me to the hospital. And the good part about that incident, and after everything was done, is that I do not have a heart condition. So it's not that something is wrong with the heart, but the palpitation has to, they do not really understand what causes that palpitation, but it can be just about anything, stress, something unusual happening. And also, we have to speak about keeping our bodies in good condition, the hypertension, the diabetes, because those lifestyle, which I thought I didn't have, which at that point showed that it contributed a little to the heart, because the hypertension and so on. It really brought me to a point, because I felt that I was dying. When the heart was palpitating like that, I really felt like I was gonna die. And I remember just saying to the Lord, spare me, because I wanted to ensure that I could help my children to get through to a place where they can help themselves and so on. So health challenges, they're real. And what it does also is to show that you have to get a community around you that cares, that cares about you and help to look out for you. So now even at my work, I try very hard to share with others, to let them know that, because as I said, a part of it is stress. And sometimes because of the kind of personality that I have, always looking happy and so on, I think whatever stress I had, because everybody's life is stressful at some point, I probably suppressed, because I'm always showing the better part and the better part, put it that, of your life.
Yes.
And that really taught me that it's important to share and make sure you keep up with your annual medical checkups, yes, and get as healthy as possible. But that's the challenge, that the biggest in all that I'm doing, just trying to understand when you're stressed and what you're to do to share, so you can get that out, because it can be very dangerous. Yes,
Your
can
body
be.
stores so many
Yes,
things that you don't even
yes.
know.
And we must never, I know people find it very hard most times to trust in others and to share with them your very deepest, And then the Jamaican culture also, we're not that kind of culture. Like, for example, in the United States, they have a lot of therapists, you call them.
Yes.
People feel a little something, them run gone, and they talk it out, and they're willing to pay money,
Yeah.
and get help. We don't have that in
Tough it
Jamaica.
out. Jamaicans tough it out. Suck it
Yes.
up. Keep on going.
But I think it's reflected in how we manage what's happening too, generally. And I think especially men, if I can find a way to get to men, create a program that we could get our men to understand that they too, like women, go through changes. Everybody talk about the woman having menopause and hormones, this, and men do also. And because they are not talkers, and they're not able to release, let go, and we see how they manage most times when they're disharmony, or there's trouble or so in the household, or
but our boys are not taught to do that, right? They have to man up, and it's not, and you are emasculated when you try, and so in full transparency, right? I used to tell my husband that you need to be vulnerable, you need to share. But as soon as he starts, I'm like, he lose all his masculinity. I want him to be a hero. I want him to be tough, but I want him to be vulnerable. And so he called me out on it.
It's the culture.
Right? He called me out on it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, when I do that, you don't make it, you judge me and say that I'm not being strong enough or man enough, right? Or that's the impression he's getting from me. And then I have to be honest with myself that I want my husband to be that strong tower. I want to be the one to cry. I want to be the one to do this. But then I don't give him the permission to do the same, to share. So I had to start to practice, to do that. And whatever beliefs I had about him, when he's doing that, to change it and unlearn, build some new habits and new perspectives, that this is something that we need for him as an individual to be okay, and for our marriage to be okay. Yes. With the individual, Because when you have two broken people, you just have more brokenness.
Brokenness and no one to help the the
Yeah.
other. But our culture really has
Doesn't.
really it and as I said, maybe that is something that I need to look at how I can contribute,
Yeah.
to get to a place where we can be seen. I know they do a lot of people are out there trying, because you see programs that they do for men, but the heart and soul of it, you go back to the household and to say to mothers and fathers, as you said, train the boys too, to be vulnerable, to be sensitive, to want to share and to
Yep.
share emotions, because
Yep.
when they become adults,
Yep.
and as we're all getting older, and as I said, the hormones that chip in and cause you to do all kind of
Yep.
crazy things, as they will say, you have to be able to find someone that you can talk to get some normalcy, to get it off the chest, and so that some of these such heartfelt way that they treat with,
Yes.
and get rid of it, because killing yourself and killing somebody else doesn't help. It helps no one. It helps no one. It creates more. So we need to get there. So
Yeah.
health challenges have been my biggest, but I believe I've learned and I'm getting there, and I'm getting good, and I'm understanding that you have to talk and you have to, share, and in that way you also help others. Help others.
What is the best advice you ever received in life so far?
Wow. Best advice.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a good one that it's
Yes.
timeless. It's timeless and
I
very practical for your life.
yes. I don't know how I would say it, but I guess it was an advice.
Go ahead.
But to be honest with you, from I was about 15 or 16, I remember looking at my mother's life. My mom was a housewife, best ever. I got the best upbringing ever.
Uh-huh.
I mean, she would take care of us, just two kids of a brother. And unfortunately, back in the 70s, something happened in the economy that caused a lot of people to lose their jobs, including my father. And I remember my mother having now to like make a leap to step out of her comfort zone
Yeah.
and to take on more. And I remember saying to myself, you know, from here on. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure how you place it as an advice, but I saw it and I took it on and said, from now on, what I'm going to do, I'm going to ensure that I get a good education, that I am able to assist in my life, even with a partner, that I'll be able to assist, and that whatever I do, I want to be an example to show that it doesn't matter where you're coming from, it is your vision and drive, and that you can get there even if you do not take a straight road.
It's rarely a
Because
straight road. Is it ever a straight road?
is it? But some people take that right or left and they
Yeah.
fall off and they don't know how to get back up. But I remember saying that. So it's not, I don't know if it's an advice, but just looking at it and
Yeah.
saying, I'm going to want to ensure, because I believe a woman should be prepared for life just the same, you know? You
Yeah.
don't just depend on,
Another.
and as a matter of fact, it's not really about depend. When you're coming together in a relationship, you both will contribute something to that relationship. So you, as a woman, you must value, what you're going to
Bring.
contribute.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that on, and so that was my focus. No matter what, I'm enjoying myself, and so you're going, and you keep going, and you keep going until you get to hopefully what you call the ultimate. That's it.
What are you most proud of?
I'm telling you the honest truth. The day that I had my first child, it was I believe it was like a gift from God, because you bring in another person, giving life and so on. I think it's a gift. And I'm mindful when I say this, because recently persons have been sharing on Facebook about like firstborn and secondborn, things like that. And I remember someone making a post that they're not going to participate because we're not mindful of other people who,
Lost.
may have lost, are unable, and so on. And I really had to respond, and I was saying, it's the recognition of being able to do that
Yeah.
why we would celebrate, because we're not taking it for granted.
Right.
To be able to bring life, it's not a simple thing. And so we're
Not.
happy and joyful that it happened. And for some people, it happened multiple times without them, any
Right.
problem. For others, it may pose challenges, but it's really something that is life changing, because
Miraculous.
it's miraculous. It puts you in a place where you really comprehend the love of God. You understand? When God, when you talk about unconditional love, I don't know how else to describe it.
Your dream. So I am not going to assume that it has already come true. Is there something that you enjoy that you are currently not doing or haven't done yet that you want to do that you can share with us?
Yes, and I'm happy you asked that, about dreaming, dreams.
Yes.
Vision. If there's something else, let me tell you, I believe God loves me in a special way, because He's given me another chance, another opportunity to love. And in that love, I've found someone who enjoys the things that I love to do. And one of the things I am passionate about, and a lot of people probably don't know, is to travel. I love to travel. I love an airport. So, this pandemic, that is the hardest part of this pandemic for me, that I cannot get up and go. And there are some places I've not been that they are at the top of my bucket list, that bucket list people talk about, that I would love to one day go to. And I think God has blessed me in giving me a second chance at love, and a partner who I think will be able to help me.
To share it, to share experiences with. It is so much, certain things are so much better with good company. Good
Yes,
company.
ma'am.
I do, the context
Yes,
here is good company. Not every company,
yes. So
good company.
I'm here now telling the world, eh? I'm getting married again. I'm telling the world.
That is
I'm telling you.
absolutely
Yes.
Awesome.
But I've always enjoyed traveling. And I'll give you a little story from as from as far back as I can remember myself as a child. My father was a truck driver,
Yeah.
and he would drive to Kingston to get goods,
Yes.
right? And take back to the Chinese shops, and you know how that thing works. And from I was as little as I can remember, I never once hesitated when the opportunity came, like, and my father would say, we are going to be going with him,
Yeah.
you know, to travel to Kingston. I remember my brother was very shy and afraid, but not me. I would jump in that truck and I'm ready to go. To this day, people say I'm a very good driver and they don't know. I love being on the road. So, you know, I have my dream job, as I said already, because I get to travel the entire
Yes.
island and all of that. But traveling. And I remember when back in 1988, I'll tell the world, I had gotten through to go to the university. And and you know, I had all these relatives overseas, mostly in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying, I want to go and see what it is, you know, that enticed them so much. And everybody's saying, no, man, you're not gonna get through, you're not gonna this, you know, they started. And I remember saying, I'm gonna be brave, because I tell you that I love to be brave, and I'm gonna go up to that place where you go get a visa.
Embassy.
And I did, the embassy. And I went, the American embassy.
And you got it?
And I got it. And
When people
remember
go how much time and get declined?
one time, one time. And I remember when I went in front of it was a male interviewer,
Yeah.
and he said to me, how do I know you're going to come back? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I looked at him and I said, sir, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. And the only thing I can say to you is, tell me something that you really enjoy from your country, and I'll get it for you, and I'll come back here and give it to you. I don't know if it hit the man or something, but he gave a smile. He gave a smile. But then, as I said, I'd been accepted to go to the university. I was a teacher. I had a job. So it's not like I didn't have anything. I really had a little foundation there. But that's it. And it has allowed me to travel. And I've been to other countries, Canada. I've been to Toronto in Canada. I've been to England, London. But there are so many, as I said, I want to go to Africa. I want to see one of those countries. I hear most of us are from Nigeria. I want to go there and see the people. I still want to get to Scotland because my father was half Scottish. So I still want to go find my relatives in Scotland. So the horizon is there. There's a world out there. I hope this pandemic will settle and get me back so that in time for retirement, I can go enjoy, that other dream. And maybe a little more singing too. Get back to the singing.
I'm glad I asked that question, man. I never assume.
Yes.
You only have one question left.
I do?
Yes.
Wow.
At the end of your life, what do you want us to remember about you?
Oh, I would want the world to remember my contribution to nation building through education and now through our culture and its preservation. I would want them to know that, I participated in that and made some contribution to the growth and development of Jamaica. Also, there is something I've always said about my life, that I don't want someone to ask if I'm a Christian.
Mm.
I want to live a Christ-like life so that the person can say, there goes a Christian. So that's it. I want to live the truth of Christianity, not the theory. So I really try to be as down to earth as possible, and as Jesus said, we're to be like children, humble, caring, loving. It hurts me
Mm.
if even if I'm to reprimand someone, because that's not my desire. My desire is that we can live and live in love, humility, respect for each other. So if at the end of my journey they can say, no man, Miss Leyden, the lady there, oh, a nice Christian woman. She lived the real thing, and she made an impact on my life,
Yeah.
Maybe they saw something that caused them to move on to something good and not negative. I would be perfectly all right. That's me.
Thank you for your response. That was the last questions. Any question for me before I wrap us up? You don't have to ask any, It's just as a courtesy.
I want
I like
to.
this side. I like this side.
Yeah, you love. Yeah, you
I
love.
enjoy
You
it.
love.
I enjoy it, Miss Leyden. I do.
Yeah. What I wanted to ask you though is, how did I in any way impact your life? What can you recall?
So for me, math is what I do well and excel. Languages, books, and the art, those things somehow is a challenge for my brain.
Uh-oh.
So when I had to do library science, I'm like, library
Yes, yes, yes.
science. Until I met you. And what I remember most of all is your smile.
Oh yes,
Oh
I
my
didn't tell you
God,
about
your
that.
cheeks.
Yes, the winning smile.
And you were so pleasant and warm and kind.
Oh wow.
Yes. And so it wasn't, if it was a horrible experience, I would tell you very like,
No, you probably wouldn't invite me to be interviewed. Not that you would do that. I know you would still invite some
yeah.
of those people.
Did you live up like Chantilly up like that way?
And Chantilly Gardens.
So I remember
And the
that.
fruit trees. And the fruit trees, everybody
Yes.
used to come for
I,
mangoes and all kinds of
I
things.
remember your nails and your it's so funny. I wish I could tell you I remember the subject itself. I remember your nails and your manicure, and I remember your wedding ring when you came back from getting married.
Yes. Oh
Even though I
boy.
think I called him Mr. Layden, and
Yes.
like
A
Vernon
lot
just
of you
don't come to our
did.
lives.
A lot of you did that. Yes.
But what I remember is your face, your smile, and your warmness.
Oh,
That is what
wonderful.
that is what I remember about being in your class.
Happy for that.
Yeah.
Because it took you into the library. And look at you now. You've turned out to be fabulous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your life too.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Ready for closing?
Sure.
Um, I purposefully and intentionally took the time to really get to listen and ask you things that are not a part of the traditional questions. And there is a set foundational questions. I asked you things about what brought you joy. I listened to whatever you shared, and whatever I was curious about, I asked intentionally, because it
Yes.
is my hope that by sharing your experience, your stories, it will edify someone.
Yes.
And my hope is that your episode will be eternal and it'll be there and timeless. And so I think some people be like, what, she asked him so many, because they're kind of used to the anatomy of my questions. Because
Yes.
everyone kind of gets the same set of questions. But I
Yes.
wanted to spend the time. When I sit with you, when I sit with Mrs. Wagstaff, I am
Yes.
present and I spend
Yes.
the time. So thank
All
you for
right.
answering all those questions and my follow-ups and my follow-ups and my I had like 3 layers of follow-ups based on what you shared. Thank you.
And thank you for just the thought of having me here. And then really, we did it. Thank you. I don't take any of this for granted. I really appreciate it. Because as I said, I would want to know that I would have made an impact at some point in someone's life. So the fact that you remember me and would have included me in your special program, thank you, my dear. Thank you for that.
It's a blessing and an honor. Thank you for investing in our lives. And thank you for all the work that you've done
Yes.
in Westmoreland, even though you're not. we
Yeah.
assumed you were from Westmoreland, but Jamaica as a whole, especially as you go on with all the work that you've done in JCDC.
Thank you.
So you have impacted so many lives.
Thank you for
You made a
that.
difference.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Objective reached. Attained.
Awesome. So,
Yes.
guys, I hope that you enjoyed this episode and you got caught up with Miss Leyden and that you got at least one lesson for the road or something new that you never knew before that, yeah, really, I never knew. I hope you had absolute fun with us today. So please like our videos, share our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and have an absolutely blessed week. Bye-bye.